of civic
And it was a
threat
revelation that the White House had no intention of making public.
President Bush was told in August that Osama bin Laden might be planning an attack involving the hijacking.
Could have predicted.
Nobody in our government, at least.
August 6th, PDP.
I believe the title was Bin Laden Determined to Attack Inside the United States.
70% of family members' questions were never answered during the 9/11 Commission report.
Lee Hamilton and Thomas Keane said they were set up to fail.
I mean, I'm a member of the commission. It's a scam. It's absolutely disgusting.
The questions, Mr. President. The questions. You're looking for a rush, but I hope you got it.
We are going to have to act.
It's different not because of me. It's different because of you.
There is a very unstable situation on the ground that is unfolding very quickly.
Move toward more ideas that will actually help bring this thing to an end.
The 6,191st meeting of the Security Council is called to order.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Thank you so much for taking time out of your demanding schedule.
My pleasure. The content of your request seemed like something I should carve out a few minutes for.
I should point out that I voted for you, as your promises of hope and change, transparency and accountability, as well as putting government back into the hands of the American people, struck an emotional chord in me that I hadn't felt in quite some time, perhaps ever.
And I appreciate that, Shorty. Big fan of the show, by the way.
Sir, I can't imagine when you might find the time to actually watch my show, given the measure of what you inherited.
I have a T-vote on Air Force One. Nice break from the traveling press corps. Not to be abrupt or rushing, but you have 19 minutes left.
I'll take that as an invitation to cut to the chase.
I'm all ears, or so I've been told.
Sir, in the very near future, we will be experiencing our first 9/11 anniversary with you as Commander-in-Chief.
Yes, a very solemn day for our nation. A day of reflection and yet a day of historical consequence as well.
Very much so, sir, very much so indeed. Now, in researching your position regarding the events of 9/11 and the subsequent investigation that followed, am I correct to understand that you fully support and endorse the findings of the Commission report, otherwise known as the official story?
Do I have any reason not to, given that most of us are presumably in touch with similar evidence?
I really wish that were the case, sir. Are you aware, Mr. President, of the recent stunning revelations that 60% of the 9/11 commissioners have publicly stated that the government agreed not to tell the truth about 9/11 and that the Pentagon was engaged in deliberate deception about their response to the attack?
I am aware of certain infighting during the course of a very thorough and tireless investigative process.
Mr. President, it's hard to label this type of friction as infighting or make the irresponsible leap to thorough when the evidence I insist you examine regarding 6 of the 10 members are statements of fact.
Sir. No disrespect, Mr. Sheen, but I have to ask, what is it that you seem to be implying with the initial direction of this discussion?
I'm not implying anything, Mr. President. I am here to present the facts and see what you plan to do with them.
Let me guess. Your facts allegedly supporting these claims are in the folders you brought with you?
Good guess, Mr. President. Again, sir, these are not my opinions or assumptions. This is all matter of public record, reported through mainstream media, painstakingly fact-checked and verified. You'll notice, sir, on page 1 of the dossier dated August of '06 from the Washington Post, the statements of John Farmer, senior counsel to the 9/11 Commission, his quote stating, "I was shocked how different the truth was from the way it was described." He goes on further to state, the NORAD air defense tapes told a radically different story from what had been told to us in the public for 2 years. On pages 2 and 3, sir, are the statements as well from Commission Co-Chairman Thomas Keane and Lee Hamilton, Commissioners Bob Kerrey, Timothy Romer, and John Lehman, as well as the statements of Commissioner Max Cleland, an ex-senator from Georgia, who resigned, stating, "It is a national scandal. The investigation is now compromised. One of these days we will have to get the full story because the 9/11 issue is so important to America. But this White House wants to cover it up." He also described President Bush's desire to delay the process as not to damage the '04 re-election bid. They suspected deception to the point where they considered referring the matter to the Justice Department for criminal investigation. Mr. President, this information alone is unequivocally grounds for a new investigation.
Mistakes were clearly made, but we as a people and as a country need to move forward. It is obviously in our best interest as a democratic society to focus our efforts and our resources on the future of this great nation and our ability to protect the American people and our allies from this type of terrorism in the coming years.
To target a single man.
Mr. President, we cannot move forward with a bottomless warrant of unanswered questions surrounding that day and its aftermath. I have the proof, Mr. President, along with scores of documents and facts I'd like you to take a look at. Here.
I see you came prepared, Charlie.
No other way to show up, Mr. President. When in doubt, over-prepare, I always say.
Now you sound like the First Lady.
That's quite a compliment, sir.
As you wish. Please continue.
Sir, I'd like to direct your attention to the stack of documents in the folder I just handed you. The first in from the top is entitled Operation Northwoods, a declassified Pentagon plan to stage terror attacks on U.S. soil to be blamed on Cuba as a pretext for war.
And I'd like to direct your attention to the fact that the principal draftsman of this improbable blueprint was quickly denied a second term as Joint Chief Chairman and sent packing to the European NATO garrison. Thank God his otherworldly ambitions never saw the light of day.
I wouldn't be so certain about that, Mr. President.
I could easily say the same thing to you, Charlie.
The next document reads, Declassified Staged Provocations. Now honestly, Mr. President, I wish I was making this stuff up. I'm certain you are familiar with the USS Maine incident, the sinking of the Lusitania, which we all know brought us into World War I, and of course, the most famous, the Gulf of Tonkin incident.
Of course I'm familiar with these historical events, and I'm aware that there's a measure of controversy surrounding them. But to be quite frank with you, this is all ancient history.